starts now.
Warriors of the ultimate fight. Get in the ring for the ultimate fight. I say we warriors of the ultimate fight. Get in the ring for the ultimate fight. I say we warriors of the ultimate fight. Get in the ring for the ultimate fight. I say we warriors of the ultimate fight. Get in the ring for the ultimate fight.
And now, it's Ultimate Combat Radio with your host, Mike Stidham on 1280 and 97.5. The Zone, brought to you by Aztec Highway, WDFA.
Welcome to Ultimate Combat Radio, Utah's only all-mixed martial arts radio show. I'm Mike Stidham, bringing you all the latest in the news of the world of mixed martial arts. I'm joined by the coolest bunch of folks you ever want to hear from in the radio business. We got, of course, the Great White, Joe Martinez. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. How you doing, Mike?
Joe, I'm doing very, very well.
You
I'm
seem
excited.
like you're doing good.
I'm amped up. I'm ready to go, and we're going to talk about why in just a moment here. But, of course, you drug along, or I guess she drug you along. The MMA babe's right there with you. Bob Dizzle, how you doing?
I am good.
Good stuff. All right, so, and of course, the Kaiser last week broke down on the way here, but he's here, man. He made it here all the way here this time.
Thanks to Cam over there at Midas, I got my car working again, and I am here and happy to be in such a wonderful place on a Friday afternoon.
And let's throw Cam just a little more love, man. Oh, Cameron Tueller there at Midas, your locally owned Midas stores, always taking care of us, man. So if you get a chance, stop in, give him a big fat kiss on the lips from me, and tell him thank you so much for getting Brandon here for us this week. And then, of course, we have an in-studio guest. We kind of decided we're going to add a little segment to the show because we haven't done a show in a little while, and people always ask me, they go, hey, whatever happened to this guy, whatever happened to that guy? And in fact, this guy came back from the dead. We ran down Tommy Gun Wagner. Tommy, how are you, my man?
I'm great, Mike, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
I love having you here, and I'm going to tell you a little more about that story where we say Tommy Gun came back from the dead, but he's here in the flesh and looking very good, so I'm glad to have him here. And we added another new segment. We have a trivia question now, Joe. We're going to add UCE trivia. We're going to go a little nostalgic and go back in the day and find out, what you know about the old school UCE, and if you were able to answer those questions with any sense of intelligence, we're going to give you a cool prize. This week's fabulous prize is GSP's Rush Fit. Now, if you don't know much about it, it's a set of 4 workout DVDs, each containing 5 tough mixed martial arts style circuits designed by UFC fighter George St. Pierre. Now, Joe, I saw you kind of doing it the other day, right? Well, we've got it going on the big screen over there at the Aztec Highway store inside of the Ultimate Combat Training Center. I saw you kind of looking up there trying to emulate George St. Pierre.
I'm doing my best so that my fiance will love me a little bit more. So.
Well, when you start looking like him, we'll talk.
For those of you not familiar with the show, Robertina is obsessed with GSP, and so Joe is doing everything he can to become GSP-esque.
I even started talking with an accent at home.
Right. Well, good stuff. So here's the trivia question. There are several title holders in the UFC right now. I don't know how many weight classes they got going on. I think it just added one. But at any rate, there is a title holder, a current title holder in the UFC that had a fight in UCE, that fought right here in Utah in the Ultimate Combat Experience. He's a title holder. Who is it? And I know you guys aren't going to give that away. You guys didn't even know. When I told you guys, everybody was shocked, right?
He says.
What's that?
One caller that says he knows the answer.
Oh, man, this guy was scared. There was a guy on Facebook when I put this up there. He says, I will be calling at 6:01, man. Count on me. So what's his name? Who's on the line? Nick, what's going on, man? Hello, Nick. How you doing?
Outstanding. How are you?
I am doing so good I can't even stand it.
Good.
I understand you know the answer to our trivia question.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it.
It is Ben Henderson.
You are absolutely correct. Don't we have any cool music or dinging noises or anything like that? Well, there you go. All right. So now, Nick, how did you know that?
My dad used to watch the videos of him.
Oh, okay.
I saw Ben Henderson on. My dad used to VHS him off the TV.
That is awesome. That is very, very cool. Hey, we've got a poll question I want you to weigh in on as well since we got you on the line. The poll question is, there's a lot of hype being thrown around out there. I think with the UFC doing so many shows now, and even on the local level, when there's a lot of shows, you see it, you hear promoters try to hype fights that really end up being kind of duds, and you kind of know going in that they're going to be a dud. Are there any that kind of stand out to you that you feel is was overhyped?
I didn't like the Tim Sylvia Randy Couture fight, because I really knew that Randy Couture was just going to go in there and just kind of make him fight his game plan, and it wasn't going to be an exciting fight, and Randy Couture was just going to dominate him the whole time. So
yeah, and I agree with you. That was one of those. We knew going in it was going to be a snooze fest. So that was no right or wrong answer. That was just our poll question. But you are the big winner. You're going to have to come out to the Ultimate Combat Training Center in Draper. We're located inside the VF Factory Outlet Mall right there on 12101 South State Street. Do you know where it's at?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, come on down, and we've got you a GSP Rush Fit, man. You're going to love it.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I'll use it in Afghanistan.
All right, well, good stuff. Thanks for calling. All right, good
Thanks.
stuff
Take
there,
care.
man. We have a real listener.
And he actually knew what he was talking about.
Yes, he did. All right. So now coming up on the program, we're going to be speaking with a guy that I'm really excited to talk to because I don't know well, in fact, we were talking in the green room just before the show. They're having some difficulties putting this NAGA tournament together. Their truck broke down. They're now having to scramble around and get some equipment for it. And I've been there, man. I can relate to it. But this guy is a guy who's putting on 35 tournaments a year, and it's the North American Grappling Association grappling tournament, by far the biggest grappling event ever to hit the state of Utah. And this event will feature some world-class grappling. And if you haven't made it out to a fight because maybe it's a little too violent for you, this is a great alternative because you're going to see all of the technical elements of MMA, but there's no striking. You're not going to see anybody beating the crap out of each other, but you're going to see some very, very skilled martial artists on the ground, and it's an extremely exciting sport. So if you get a chance, check it out. And I myself am going to be competing tomorrow. Joe Martinez is going to be competing tomorrow. My wife, my kid. It's a family affair, so we're excited about it. And then Team Machado, Utah, we've got about a dozen of us going. In fact, Tommy Gunn Wagner is one of those guys. We're going to be talking about that more in just a moment. But Kip Kohler, he is the director and the founder of NAGA, North American Grappling Association. He's going to be joining us on the program in the next segment, and we're looking forward to that. All right, moving right along. Okay, so I wanted to kind of answer to the poll question. My example is Anderson Silva and Yushin Okami, because I knew that. I mean, that fight, the UFC tried to say, well, Yushin beat him before, and so now this is compelling. He beat him because Anderson Silva got disqualified. I mean, that doesn't really qualify as a win in my mind. So it was a lousy matchup the first time. It was even worse the second time. And, I really thought, once again, I think when the UFC started doing so many shows, they kind of have to put the hype machine behind some fights that I don't really necessarily agree with.
Any fight that they put against Anderson Silva, well, other than the Chael Sonnen one coming up, and the GSPs, it's just, how can you hype those? And against John Jones, how can you hype those guys? They're beating everybody with ease. And
that's it. And unfortunately for those guys, the UFC has to put a hype spin on it or create some drama, like the Chael Sonnen drama, because otherwise it's really not compelling. So some of our listeners responded on Facebook, and some of the feedback we've gotten, Brock Lesnar, anything involving Brock Lesnar, was, I believe, Kensei Sato said. And then another person said anything Fedor Emelianenko. And I'll agree with the first one. I didn't really think Lesnar had earned his stripes per se. I mean, he was a WWE character that came in, and so he got a lot of love. But Fedor, I can't agree with, man. You got a guy who's 10 years undefeated at the top of the game. He's a legend, and so anytime you see a legend walking in the ring, it's like when Ali fought. I mean, you knew Ali was going to usually win, even with Tyson. I mean, they're legendary status that kind of makes it compelling just in and of itself.
Man, a guy loses 3 fights and he's just thrown overboard like that.
That's crazy,
that
isn't
fast.
it? On the local, you kind of have to throw Kimbo Slice into that category as well. Some of his fights, why? It was just because there was that, you were trying to bring in new fans. Well, it's what it is. It's the hype machine, and I don't really necessarily agree with it. And the reason being, and I'll use an example of a local tournament they had for the belt just recently. Most of the guys in the tournament had sub 500 records, and none of them would be considered in the top 10 lightweights in Utah. In fact, I think Mushin has more top lightweights than they had in that tournament, for the most part. And there just wasn't, but they were selling it as a title shot, and you're going to get a belt for it. And to me, as a viewer, as a spectator, as a fan, when you try to sell me on something and you use the word epic, that's a word that kind of gets thrown around a lot lately. This is going to be epic. Well, when it's not, either the uneducated fan is going to say, well, this sport's lame, or the educated fan is going to say, hey, you lied to me, and either way, you didn't make a fan out of them. So I'll use another example. When Showdown put Steve Sharp and Brad McRae in the cage together, that's an embarrassment. I mean, why? And they hyped it. It was on the poster because Steve sells tickets, but you might have sold some tickets that night, but you lost the faith of some of the guys that they listen to what you're saying, and I think you might lose some some credibility with your fans. They might feel duped, if you will. All right, so coming up on the program, as I said, Tommy Gunn Wagner's, we're going to be chatting with him in just a little bit, and then of course next segment is going to be Kip Collar, the president and director of NAGA. Looking forward to that. We got more Ultimate Combat Radio brought to you by Aztec Highway when we come back.